Hello and welcome everyone. We're going to be starting in just a moment. And I have a special guest here today. Hello and welcome to another Luminar Coffee Break. I'm your host, Vanelli, and this is a special coffee break where you supply the questions and then Skylum supplies the experts to answer your questions. Now, I have a very special guest today. We all know him. What is your handle again?
Paul Bertsch Photography.
Hey, Paul. Hey, you know what, Paul? You froze on me. So how can we do
Uh-oh.
this? Unshare, turn off your webcam, then turn it back on. You got it? Then back on again. We love technology.
Don't we?
So I'm going to put it over here for a minute.
All right.
While you're doing that, I still don't have a picture of you yet. So Paul, let's talk about you briefly. You're a part-time photographer, but you're putting in
Correct.
full-time work. You're
Correct.
going out of your way to learn everything you can about photography, along with photo editing, and making sure that your images just come to life. They look really really good. Now, you and I were talking about Google Drive, and the reason
Correct.
I have him on today is he's going to be helping me monitor some of the questions, and at the same time he'll jump in once we get his screen going. Did you have a chance to share it yet?
Can you see me?
Nope, not yet. So I wonder why. And we had it all set in the beginning too. So, anyways, so once we tackle that, so you can throw questions at me then. All right, you got it.
You got me there?
Yep. Yeah, I still don't have it, but that's okay. I'll have you throw me questions. All right.
All righty.
When we first did this, you chime in all the time with questions and answers, and I love how you're very outgoing with the community.
I
You're the type of photographer that we're trying to make sure we develop all the way through. So keep up the great work. I just love it, and thanks for joining me today.
thank you for having me.
Okay. All right, so what we're going to talk about is a way for us to solve a simple problem. And it's funny because, Paul, you brought out some great scenarios on how we could use this in our workflow. And what that is how to have some of our favorite photos with us at all time, and how we could use Luminar to edit those photos no matter where we are, and then export them, the finished product, to anyone we want. So we're going to do this in a couple of steps. First, let me share my screen. The first step is, and again, this is strictly, let me close it down. This is not a Luminar feature, okay? It just happens to be a byproduct of it. So I'm going to go to Google Drive, and here's the website for it. The first thing you need to do is download the backup and sync for your desktop. Now, this works for Mac, and it also works for the Windows version. So you download the software. There we go. And once you have it downloaded, you'll come over here to your toolbar on the bottom, and sure enough, you'll see it right here. Now I'm going to right click, and this here is called the hamburger icon. I'm going to click on it and go to preferences. Now, if you're limited on space, I think I pay like $100 or something a year. No, not $100. $10 a year. I can't remember. I pay very little to have 100 gigs of extra memory. Let me pull it up here. So, of course, it doesn't want to cooperate with us right now. So here I am. I'm going to right click. There we are. So I right click on it, and this is showing me that I have Google Drive installed on my desktop computer, and typically it's under your user folder. Yep. So here we are, desktop, and then if you look over here, I have my Google Drive. All right. So what I want to do is right-click on it and stop playing my screen. All right. So you would right-click on it, and let's see. Once you right-click, see, it's not doing it for me. So what would end up happening is you would select which folders you want to sync. So you would select the folders you want to sync because you don't want to sync all 100 gigs of them. You may only want to sync maybe 4 or 5 folders. So one of the folders I have that I put in there is to be processed and then processed. So those are the 2 folders that I have. And let me share here. So those are the 2 folders I have right in here. So under my Google Drive, I have, coming down, to be processed, and then up above, I have processed. Now, Paul, do you know why I put an underscore on the top ones?
To make sure they come up first in your list.
You got it. That was an old Windows thing. To make sure they pop up first in my list. So here are the to be processed. Now, we could do it. You know what's funny? I had my phone all set, and I don't have it with me right now. So you could upload them from your phone. So we could go out, take all these pictures, and then upload because we have Google Drive on our phone. We can select the images in our camera roll, and then upload those to Google Drive to be processed. Or, like I did here, I just went through my hard drive, and I found some of these images that I really liked. Waldo Dixie Dixon. Here's my son with a cow tongue. This right here was at Photoshop World, where Scott Kelby and his band was up there. They were playing for the group. So now all of these are in my to be processed. Great. So what's the big deal about that? Well, if I come over here to Luminar, in my libraries, I have that to be processed folder attached. Ooh, look at this. All those images are going to be in here. Now, by the way, did you notice what image is not in there? Paul?
I do not.
Watch this. And I couldn't figure this out for the life of me, and it dawned on me. To be processed, these ones. These images I took of Kelby are not in there because they're RAW files and they're HEIC. So neither Adobe,
Support
neither
that.
Photoshop or Luminar is able to read the HEIC file yet. So what I would do is I would convert them to DNG and then bring them back in. So, all right, so here we are with our images here. And like I said, we don't need just to pick the images on our phone. I'll come over here. Let's say I have this image here. I can take this image and put this in the to be processed. So here we are to be processed. I just already have it up here, so that's fine. So I already have it here. I want this to be here too, so that image, I can process it. So let's do a real quick processing. First thing I'll do is come over. And you brought up a good point. What do you like about looks?
Well, I really adore looks because they are a great foundation to start your journey with Luminar. You got to remember that looks are not a fix-all for any photo, but they are a great place to realize what you're looking for and get you close to it. I started using looks. They made my photos look great. And then I realized, man, if I just take a deep dive into what is creating this look and look at all the filters involved, you start to wrap your head around what's really going on and how those looks are made. Before you know it, you wake up one day and you're creating your own looks. Your pictures look just like the looks you just used to be using.
Awesome. All right, so here we are. Now, I'm going to do a sky replacement. But here's the thing with the AI sky replacement. You can't put it on its top layer. AI sky replacement has to be on the bottom layer. So it has to be here. Now, the reason for that is because this right here is the base layer, and this layer is going to be seen all the way through to the top layers. What I'm going to do is come over to Enhance, bring it back a bit. All right, and Creative, Sky Replacement, Stars. This used to take so long to mask out. Look at this. I love that to death.
Amazing.
Now, I'm going to create a new adjustment layer. Here, I do like to come over and I'll use the mood enhancer. Dial it back, and I'm done. So we went from this to this in just a matter of a few seconds. All right. Now,
hey, Vanelli.
Yes.
Some of our viewers here may be noticing that some of those stars ended up on the model's head.
I think so.
These can easily be fixed. You just break out your brush, you erase what you don't want, keep what you do want. Look how easy that is.
No, but guess what? Watch this. Here it is. Ready? If I click on it, that was just a preview. So if you click and zoom to 100%, it's gone. It automatically did it.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, so sometimes don't forget, this is just a quick preview. Always zoom into it 100%. And now that you brought that up, I do see a little problem with some of the glare on her. So if we go to the light tool and just dial back highlights, highlights is going to, look at that. Highlights is going to bring that back into focus. But I'm glad you guys caught that. If it appears to be on her, zoom into 100%. Let it redraw, you'll notice it's gone. But over here, okay, let's see, it did hit it. Right here, actually that's part of it. But like you were saying, edit mask, brush, and then you would erase it wherever you don't want that to appear. All right? So now I have this set. Here's the export. Since we're only going to use this for Facebook or for, let's say, Instagram, because you brought up a good point about Instagram, I want this to be on the long side 1920. And I want to export it to the process folder. So that's where I want to export to. And let's call this final. So now I have it set. And when I click export, it's going to take all the Luminar changes, burn them into the image, export it to the folder, and now if I come back to the library where processed is, I'll see two of them. The one I did earlier and the one we just did. Here's the original and there's the final. Now, here's where it gets really, really cool. Now, on my phone, even here, I can go right to my Google Drive. And I apologize. I have this connected to the screen for you, and I left the phone in the other room. Here we are, processed. And are you able to see that? There are the two images now. So, had I have given this link to Paul, the moment I uploaded this, you would have received it on your phone too.
Amazing. We got to remind them, how do they get this? Where are they sending it to on their computer? One of the big things I missed, and this is an amazing tool because think about this. If you are big on Instagram, if you love to upload your photos to Instagram and you get to miss this whole step of emailing your photo from your computer to your phone to your mobile device so you can get this on IG. Now you can just instantly export your photo right to Google Drive, get on your mobile, bring it down, put it right up on IG. What a time saver. But what we're missing here is you really got to install the desktop Google Drive app.
Yes. So that was the big key. And by the way, Rogel. Yeah, so he brought up a good point. You can have unlimited storage on Google Drive if you decide to downgrade the images, they compress them. Is it 15 megabits? I can't remember. If it's 15 megs per image, well, the heck do it. Because most of the images I put on Google Drive, on it, and I told you this, I have seven terabytes of cell phone photos. Because
Wow.
wherever I go, click, 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 I take pictures just as a reference or whatever I need them for, and I forget that I do it. And then when Google says, "Hey, you're running out of storage," that's the first place I go, delete all of those images and put them onto my main hard drive. So, but
What a time saver.
you brought out a good point. See if I have it here. Yep. So yeah, you go to Google Drive, google.com /drive /download, download the personal one, and then download the application for your phone. That's the key, because remember, it's not Luminar that's linking it together. Google's linking it together. Now, the cool part is that Active Directory. That's what's saving us, because whatever we change, if we rename a file in Luminar, it gets renamed on our hard drive, and that's going to make it so much easier for us not to lose any of our images. All right. Where else can you see a benefit of this, Paul?
For me, the 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 biggest benefit is obviously social media, because we already spend too much time creating hashtags. It's already just it's a big consumption of time. So this just saves that whole link of emailing, and you're putting more pictures on more drives. You're just filling up more space. Also, it's a great source for backup. Hard drive space is a big issue, and I really wanted to touch on this with you, Vanelli. Is when you have a laptop, when you're doing everything on a laptop, so you have 250 gigs of space, that's going to fill up. And when you're shooting RAW, that's going to fill up in a year, and then you're going to face a choice. What do I do with all these photos that are connected so intimately with Luminar? You have some big decisions to make. Where are you going to put those photos? For me, this just allows me to go ahead and take photos and put them in a safe place that I know, if they're on Google Drive, I'm not going to lose them. Google's not going to crash. It gives me some security.
Um, I got you. So sorry. There you are. You're frozen again. Sorry about that.
Okay, can you see that window?
I can see you when you're frozen. Um,
Uh,
with that being said, I wrote a book, 321 Backup, building a bulletproof backup system for photographers. 3 copies of your data,
great topic.
3 copies of your data, 2 stored locally, 1 stored off-site. So here in Florida, we always have to deal with hurricanes. So we have 2 copies of our data. I use Drobo, so I have 2 Drobos side by side. If a hard drive fails in a Drobo, you just take it out, it's hot swappable. You put a new drive in. If you don't have more than 6 terabytes of data, don't even think of a Drobo yet. Just go out and buy 2 8 terabytes or even 2 10 terabytes, and that'll last you for a few years. But you have 2 of them right next to each other. If one dies, your other one is your new hard drive, and then quickly go get a new one, bring it back, build up the backup system. Your third backup is in the cloud. Now, I use Backblaze, but you use CrashPlan. Google Drive is really not meant for that type of a backup, but it's better than nothing. Um,
Absolutely.
a true backup system in the cloud compresses all of your changes for you. So in my case, I messed up on my Lightroom catalog. Now I know why Rob Sylvan said, don't just back up your Lightroom catalog, but let Lightroom back it up for you. Let Lightroom go through and analyze the data to make sure it's good, and if it's not, it'll fix it. I skipped that step, so I kept copying my old catalogs, and I think I got to number 13, And sure enough, thank God, the 13th copy was a good copy. But imagine if I let it go longer, I would have lost my entire Lightroom catalog. So that's where companies like Crash Plan or Backblaze are phenomenal with that. All right. Now, Edward said, "Can you do the same thing with Apple Photos?" I just talked to Angela today, and if you have time, check out some of her coffee breaks. She brought out a good point on this. I'm a PC user, so a Windows user, so I don't do too much with Apple Photos. But she says that it's in a container folder, and there's a lot of stuff happening in that container folder. If you should happen to mess something up, it can mess up your entire Apple folder. So she recommends you export them out of the Apple's folder to be processed, clean it all up, and then put it into another folder called process. So that's a little something that Angela helped out with. What other questions we have? Megapixels, yes. Um, we got 100 gigs of storage that will help to most photographers. You're right. Oh God, for videographers, forget it. So iCloud storage, that's good. So what he's saying is, yeah, um, like if I did the Lightroom cloud version, oh, it would have been too expensive for me. But a buddy of mine brought out a good point, Rob Sylvan, is if you're using that, you don't have to use all of them in the cloud. You use bits and pieces of them up there. So with us here, what I love about Luminar is that we work hand in hand with Adobe. So you're able to use Luminar with Adobe Lightroom as a plugin, and it'll help you enhance it and do things that Lightroom just isn't capable of doing yet. Sky replacement, portrait retouching, all the AI tools. Those tools would take years to master in Photoshop. So to me, it's not a one or the other. If your workflow is Lightroom, Photoshop, Luminar is my plugin, keep it that way. If you're like Paul, you're strictly Luminar is my workhorse. I start with Luminar, I end with Luminar. So whatever your workflow is, stick to that workflow. All right?
Great advice.
Well, guys, hey, you know what, Paul? You and I will practice over the weekend or over the week. Are you on a wireless connection by any chance?
I am on Wi-Fi, yes.
Maybe that's it. And there's one thing I should have checked with you first. So we'll go back through it, and because wait till you see some of his photos he's been working on with his. Well, you do wildlife, right?
Vanelli, I enjoy landscape. I live out here on the West Coast, and because just being on the West Coast, how can you not enjoy taking pictures of our beautiful landscapes? I enjoy the beaches, the Eastern Sierras, up and down California, and while I'm at it, it just kind of glued itself, attached to me, the fascination with bird photography. So between bird photography when there are no clouds during the summer, and landscape when we have these wonderful billowy clouds filling our skies with some drama, I enjoy doing them both. I'm one of those geeks that go out just about every day of my life.
Yeah, you brought up a great point because you said, hey, I love going out in nature, fly fishing. I'm out here, and I just love looking at landscapes. And thought, wow, this would be great. When I retired, this is what I'm going to love to do. And then you realized it was capturing them is what you fell in love with. And
like so many people I meet is you see these iconic images, you see these perfect settings, and you don't know what to do with them. You want to take them home somehow. You want to experience them. Some people decide to paint. Some people decide to fish, go hunting. For me, it was just grabbing a camera, and I've never had more. I've never gotten so much out of nature than from the moment I grabbed a camera and started taking pictures of what I love so much.
Well, that's awesome. So that brought up our question we asked earlier. Can you have a dual career?
Absolutely.
Have a dual career. And you know what? Ev would be great to chime in on this one. For those of you, Ev was the founder of 500px. So before he started working at Skylum, he was the founder of 500px, sold it off, jumped over, and he's been helping Skylum ever since. Um, for yourself, you have a dual career. You have a job in the daytime or nighttime, and then you have your photography. What are some pros and cons to that for you?
Well, I don't see really any cons. I think that all photographers have a secret desire to eventually get paid for what they do. But for me, it's just not it's not about the monetary. I think having a day job definitely keeps you grounded. Um, and there's a you can't for myself speaking just for myself. I can't always be in a creative environment. I have to go. Serve my penance. I have to suffer a little and work hard, and really it just rejuvenates me, and it just gives me for me it just feeds my creativity. The hard work plays into the yin and the yang of creativity, and they both are just intricate. They work together. The harder I work, the more I want to go out and put out my creativity. It's an odd thing, but that's just the truth.
So, okay, so for myself, coming from a martial arts background originally, so 1982 is when I started teaching the martial arts. And then in 84, 5, and 6, I became a Triple Crown champion. And I focused my energy on the teaching side of the martial arts. And in 1990, I moved to Florida and I opened up my own karate studio. I think it was 23 or 24. And at that point, I started a dual career with photography and with martial arts. Now, pros and cons. When I started, I got to photograph President Bush Jr. And when I did that, then people started recognizing my work and knowing who I am. Well, that kind of backfired a little bit because my martial arts people would say, oh, he's at a karate today because he's out shooting. And then the photography world would say, oh, does he have enough time to focus on his career or is he too busy playing martial arts? So you see how that and
I think it's a wonderful dynamic. I think the two play together wonderfully.
and this is where I tell my students, martial arts, what could be another career with that? Police officer. That goes hand in hand. Martial arts, fitness trainer, great. Martial artist, bouncer? No. I'm sorry, I'm not going to train you with all these skills for you to go out and become a bouncer just so you can crack heads open. So you make sure that it goes with it. So what I've learned over the years was I included all of my karate students into my photography. So when Kelby would teach us some really cool techniques, I would go back to the karate school and say, hey guys, guess what I learned? Let's do a whole photo shoot. This is my Christmas present to you. And it got them so pumped and excited. Now, on the photography side, yes, I would bring some of my very well-known martial arts friends, and I'd have RC Concepcion or Mac Wisconsin. They would photograph or even take workshops with them. So I kind of combined the two to where I had my love for the martial arts, my love for the photography, and I blended it together. And that kind of helped keep everybody in line. So
that's a beautiful way to do it. That's a wonderful way to make what do you say? Make lemonade, I guess. Make really really sweet lemonade at that. A similar story is where I work. I have a lot of long-term clients, and although I'm not getting paid for doing what I enjoy and doing my passion, being out taking photos. Taking photos can touch people in other ways, and you can really move people. I recently saw one of my clients who is a grandfather, very proud grandfather, out on the beach while I was doing bird photography, and he was just having the time of his life with his grandson and their brand new little Labrador puppy. And I caught them in a really, really iconic moment on an incredibly beautiful sunset. The image turned out just so amazing that I had it blown up, framed it for him, and basically brought him to tears when I gave it to him. And to me, touching people on that level, on an emotional level with your work is so much more than getting paid.
Well, yeah, that's great. Hey, thanks so much for helping me out and being my sounding board back and forth. This worked out great.
This is great, Vanelli. Thank you for having me, sir.
You bet. And everyone else, I'll see you again on the next coffee break.